All right, guys, this is Lionel and Lamar. We are back for Game of Thrones Season 2, Episode 6, The Old Gods and the New. So, this episode starts off just like guns blazing, and it's kind of awesome. So, the first thing we see is Maester Luwin, and we see him just kind of running, and we're like, what's happening? And then we see him sending ravens. I don't know if you caught that. And so then the scene unfolds a little bit more, and we see that there's this attack happening on Winterfell. Now, before we get into what's actually happening, what did you make of that? Did you know immediately what it was based on what Theon was doing in the last episode, or did you not have any idea what was going on?
Oh, I knew. And a combination of what we saw with Theon in the last episode and also what Bran had just talked about in the previous episode, too. So, yeah, there's the. Wait, no. Hold on. They did come there. Theon did.
Yeah.
So they attacked that other place. What was that other place called?
Torrent Square.
They attacked Torrent Square. And then, because it was such a short distance from Winterfell, they just came there too. That part actually just clicked in my head. Because I knew he was going to go attack Torrent Square.
Yeah.
I hadn't expected, actually, for Theon to be the sea that Bran was talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. And another thing is, like, the Ironborn are like sea raving people, so like that's why it was the dream of the sea specifically. Gotcha. And so like I don't think that his dream would have been that way if it had been like a southern army or something. Gotcha. So I think that like I guess that shows you the intricacy of these prophetic dreams. They're not just like a random like generic metaphor. It's like it actually means something to like each detail. But yeah, so were you expecting this kind of treachery from Theon? Because we had talked about how you didn't really understand why people didn't like Theon. Is this shedding some light on that? Do you feel a certain way about Theon right now?
I do now, only because he reminds me of Joffrey.
Oh,
and
really?
How petulant he is.
Gotcha.
He's very immature, and he's been immature the entire show, honestly, and it hasn't really been a problem. But he feels really good about himself for doing this, and it doesn't seem as though it took any effort on his part to do this. It didn't seem like he earned this.
Yeah.
And I mean, through any kind of arduous task that he had to undertake, we just see him and he's there. And he's
I think if they had shown, I like the perspective they showed it from, but if we had seen it from his perspective, maybe it would have seemed a little bit differently. But yeah, although I did like the fact that like, even though Theon was kind of presented to us as a Stark, I think that the fact that they showed this from the Stark's perspective as an attack on them, it showed Theon's kind of like disengagement from his identity as a Stark a little bit, because it showed like the scene that we saw was a foreign invader or like an invader to the Stark's home, but like it wasn't like from Theon's perspective of like, oh, this is some great thing that we're doing. We're like taking over this castle. You know what I'm saying? Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it just like, I think that was a really interesting way to demonstrate Theon's like allegiance shift.
Oh yeah, and since we met his father, there's just been this back and forth between the two of them about where his alliances lie and what his identity really is. Is he a Stark or is he a Greyjoy? And that was the message that he was trying to convey to Winterfell and to Robb and to the kingdoms.
Yeah.
And then also he wanted this message to get back to his father. It's like, hey, I just did this in the name of our family.
Yeah.
So accept me now.
Yeah.
And I thought that part of the character building was interesting, and I liked that. But it just seemed it was just such a reversal.
Yeah.
Like you flipped the switch.
It was really quick.
Yeah. It was
like
immediate.
I feel like it was because like so when we had this kind of conversation with Renly when he like all of a sudden after Robert died like wanted to be king and all of this stuff. I feel like that switch made a little more sense and it was more of him like taking advantage of that particular opportunity. Whereas this is, I mean, Theon was taking advantage of the fact that Robb was gone, but like you said, it should have taken more for him to turn against the Starks than it did. And I understand that he had this conflict of identity, and I understand that he's felt like he was a hostage to them this whole time. So I mean, I get all of that stuff, but still, it literally took him like 2 conversations with his family to completely betray the Starks, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, now I want to talk about that scene with Theon and Bran in Bran's bedroom. I want to get your thoughts on that, and then we'll talk about the scene in the courtyard with Theon and Bran, too.
So, he storms into, Theon does, storms into Bran's room, and he says, "Wake up, I've just taken Winterfell." And Bran's like, "Really? Theon, I literally don't take you seriously. Why are you here?"
Yeah.
And he's like, I've taken the castle. I need you to pledge fealty to me, and everyone will be safe. Well, Bran says, "No, I'm not going to do that. Why would you even suggest that?" And Theon tells him, "You're Lord of Winterfell, and I've just taken over. But these people still belong to you, and you need to keep them safe. And the only way to do that is to pledge fealty to me." And Bran is like, "Okay, I get it, but really, Theon?" And he asks him, like, "Did you really hate us this whole time? Like, why did you do this, Theon?" So, and then Theon actually looks at him like, "You're right, but I have to do this to prove something."
Wait, right about what?
About asking him that question.
Oh, you're right to ask.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, and I liked that scene, and it was so interesting because, like, I feel like that, to me, that, like, really endeared me to Bran, because Bran didn't really even, like, take the time to be, like, he wasn't hurt, he wasn't annoyed, he was just like, "Okay, I see you. I see who you are." And I just thought that was really interesting from someone his age to be able to, like, to so maturely take that kind of betrayal and just, like, understand that he needs to just do what he needs to do for Winterfell. You know, he didn't take the time to, like, let Theon have the upper hand in that situation, you know? I mean, obviously Theon did have the upper hand because, like, literally he was taking their castle by force, but as far as their relationship went, and as far as, like, what that meant to that family, Bran was just like, "Okay, I guess this is what you're doing. I guess this is what I'm doing," you know? And I thought that was cool. So now let's go to that scene in the courtyard where, and this was like a pretty heartbreaking scene, and I wanted to get your opinion on what you thought of Bran's character, because we see Bran, like, kind of completely fall apart, which makes sense, but, like, I just want to talk about, like, did that, like, weaken Bran, your, like, view of Bran in any way, or was it just like a normal, understandable reaction?
Well, he's a child.
Yeah.
So, that part of him who he is in over his head in this moment. He doesn't know what to do or how to do it. Maester Luwin isn't there. He's standing next to, or he's sitting next to Shay. Is that her name?
Wow. Oh no, Osha.
And that's the only person he has to talk with or be around that isn't against him at this moment. And he wants to make sure that everyone is safe and the people of Winterfell. And the only way he knows how to do that is to just go along with what Theon is saying. So it doesn't really detract from his character for me, because what else is he supposed to do?
Yeah. And I guess that makes sense, because I guess I just wanted to see, like, what that, if that showed any, if you saw anything like that spoke to his leadership capabilities there, or was it just like the only possible way that situation could have really played out?
I think those two go hand in hand, because if he had done anything different than that, then...
So you think yielding to him was the right move?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, gotcha. He doesn't have an army to fight Theon with.
Yeah.
So if he tried to put on an act of aggression against Theon and his army, he'd probably die, and a bunch of more people would die.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the only thing he could do.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. And so then we see Sir Roderick come in. That's the guy with the beard.
Right.
And he basically tells Theon, like, you're betraying your family right now. Like, you were born here, you were raised here. Like, this is your home, these are your people. And Theon just rejects all of that and says that none of those people are his people, and that he is a Greyjoy through and through, and all of this stuff. So, what did you think about that sort of, like... I mean, I guess we already talked about Theon rejecting his Stark identity, but, like, did you expect him to go through with actually killing Sir Roderick? And, like, did that make it even worse, or was him attacking Winterfell just enough for you to just be done with him at that point?
So I can't really say that was enough to make me done with Theon, because I wasn't really invested in Theon, period.
Yeah.
So whatever he's going to be doing, I'll just let him do it.
Gotcha.
And then let the show tell me why. But I did expect for that guy to die. Not necessarily that Theon would do it.
Like after he walked in,
right.
At least? Okay, gotcha.
Because of Bran's dream.
Oh, he did. Bran did say
we
that
already knew he was going to die.
That's true. I totally forgot that Bran specifically said that he saw that guy die, or he saw that guy's body.
Right.
So, now that we're talking about that, about Bran's dream, let's just take a second to talk about Bran and what he is for a second, and Rickon actually. What do you think about their dreams now? Now that we've seen them actually, like, one of them actually come true, and then the kind of dream they had about Ned coming true.
I still don't know.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if this cemented anything for you, or...
I mean, it's just another piece of evidence that of their clairvoyance, but why
I guess
it
so,
exists?
Yeah, but I guess my point was, are you starting to believe that they're actually clairvoyant, and that these aren't just coincidences, that they're having these dreams?
It's less and less a coincidence as each of them happens.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Cool. Okay, so let's talk about Jon. Jon is north of the Wall, and he is out with some rangers, and they're just kind of chatting, and they run across this wildling girl. And I'm not exactly sure what actually happens when they first encounter her. So if you want to take it from there.
As you said, they are patrolling, and they come up upon a group of them. Yeah. And they surround them, and then the leader, what's his name? What's his name of the Rangers?
Yeah, the Half Hand, I think is who they're following right now.
He signals to someone with a bow and arrow, take one of them out. So he shoots one of them, and they attack, and she's the one who's left of all the wildlings that they just attacked. So she gets captured, basically, by these night watchmen. And the Half Hand, right?
Yes.
He says, well, we have to kill her. And she says something to the effect of, you need to burn my body so the White Walkers don't come and sniff me out, and then you guys are going to be dead too. And they're like, no, we're not going to burn you so that the smoke can rise up in the air and signal more wildlings to come get you.
That was smart of her, though.
So Half Hand says, we have to kill her. So he takes out his sword, and he's about to execute her. And then Jon steps in and says, no, I'll do it. For no reason. So I'm going to be upset with the show for a second. If the show wanted her dead, then kill her. If the show didn't want her dead, don't put that situation in there. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. So Jon steps in, interrupts, and says, I'll kill her. The other Rangers just leave, as if they trust him to do that for no reason. Yeah. Why would they even do whatever? So he brings his sword up, Jon does, and then he brings it down as if he was going to chop her head off. And he doesn't. He hits the rock in front of her, and then he grunts really loudly, I guess, to signal to whoever may be in earshot still that he just went through with this. But he doesn't. He spares her life, and she attacks him and runs away. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen. Yeah. So he is now her prisoner because he takes back control of the situation, and then they just start walking. I guess trying to get back to the group and get back on. I don't know where he think he's going.
Yeah.
Because he can't go back to the Rangers with her alive. So I don't know what he's doing. None of that makes any sense.
Okay. So do you have any thoughts at all about where that could go?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Any kind of threat she could pose or anything like that?
I mean, of course she poses a threat. So, I have no idea what Jon is thinking or what he thought would happen by keeping her alive.
I think, I'm not sure if he... The odd thing to me is, like, it seems like he's kind of trying to stay with her so that they don't find out she's still alive, like you just said. But like you said, he doesn't know what to do with her at this point because he can't go back there with them. So, he's in a precarious situation right now. So then we're going to talk about Robb. So Robb, we see him talking to this nurse that he had a small encounter with in a couple episodes ago. And he's kind of like, they're getting a little flirty, like it's like overt. And the notable thing that happens is Catelyn comes up and starts talking to the both of them. And, you can tell that Catelyn's kind of like, oh, okay, you're a pretty girl. Like, if this thing with the bridge hadn't happened like 5 minutes ago, like, yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. But you can tell that, and she even talks to Robb. She's like, I know it's not fair that you can't follow your heart anymore because you have made this commitment to the phrase. Mm-hmm. And so they have that short conversation. She talks about how they've inherited Ned's responsibilities, which I thought was a really interesting way to put that, and how that comes up with the cost. Mm-hmm. And so let's just talk about that scene and like, what do you think Robb is like? How do you think he's handling his commitments and like the situation that he's in right now?
He isn't.
Gotcha.
I don't think Robb is sticking to his commitments at all, because even as Catelyn is warning him not to become involved with this woman, he isn't. He's listening, but he's not taking it to heart. Like, he has actual feelings for this woman here. In the back of his head, he knows that there's this other person that he made this promise to, and he has this debt to repay. But in a moment of passion and infatuation, he's like, that doesn't matter to me right now. Right here in front of me is this woman who I could see myself with, and that's where my focus is right now. So there are two parts of him, and that is the person who is at war and he's just killing it, and then the other part, his personal life, where yes, he is owed to someone else, but he's following his own path and he wants to. And I don't know if that debt he owes is going to be enough to keep him from this.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll just leave it at that, actually. So then I want to talk about Arya. So Arya is with Tywin Lannister, and we see one of Tywin's men. He's talking to Tywin, or Tywin's asking him if he can read, basically. And we find out that the reason that he's asking him that is because Tywin basically has found out that he sent a letter to the Starks telling them like some of their information or whatever. And so he dismisses that guy. And the next person who comes in is Peter Baelish, and he's offering a couple of things to Tywin. He mentions the Tyrells, mm-hmm. which we'll get into. And then he also mentions that he offered Lady Catelyn something, and we don't know what that something is. They didn't talk about that. So let's just talk about that scene and how that played out.
So he, when Peter Baelish tells Tywin that he offered Lady Catelyn something, he also says that Tyrion asked him to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And Tywin is like, why did he do that? What did he tell you to tell her? So Tywin is now alerted to. Oh no. That was when he was telling him about Cersei's daughters. That's where that conversation went, where he says, "Why would Tyrion have information about my granddaughters, and why would he be offering any kind of deals to any of these other people around the lands?" But as far as him mentioning the Tyrells and Catelyn, that conversation really only served for me to put Arya in the presence of Peter Baelish.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So she hears that he is about to be in the room. So she starts freaking out. Because she's afraid, obviously, that back at King's Landing, it's going to be known now that she's alive and where she is. In the hands of a Lannister, no doubt. So she spends a few moments avoiding his eyesight, Peter's, serving wine behind his back and turning her back to him while she's serving Tywin. And at some moment, Tywin tells her to give Peter Baelish more wine. And she walks over to him and she starts to pour his drink and she spills some of it on the table. And Peter looks over just out of surprise, but then he also catches a glimpse of her. And for a split second, there's this smirk on his face, like, that's Arya.
Oh, so you think he noticed?
I think he noticed.
Okay, gotcha.
He definitely noticed. And it was very, very minute.
See, I saw him look at her, but I wasn't sure if it was like, I know that's Arya Stark, or I know that that's someone important.
Gotcha. I'm pretty sure he knows it's Arya.
Okay.
But what's more interesting, being the snake that he is, he doesn't say anything or signal to Tywin at all the information that he just gathered.
Yeah.
So now Arya is freaking out because she believes that her cover has been blown, essentially.
Okay. And so then after that conversation wraps up, because they wrap that conversation up with the whatever is going on with Catelyn. That's what Peter ends the conversation on. We don't see anything else. So then we see Tywin and Arya talking, and she distracts him for a second while she grabs something. Mm-hmm. And I never got a good look at the note. Did you ever read it?
No, it mentions Robb.
Oh, okay. So that's probably all. It probably was just something she was trying to intercept to help in some way. But she gets caught by one of the guards with this note. Mm-hmm. And she runs into the genie again. Yep. And so what did you think about her use of her second wish? And what do you think about her using these wishes in general and not using them well?
It kind of upsets me because why have this as a part of the story?
Yeah.
If it's not going to serve any other purpose than to illustrate that this exists, these assassins exist, I guess that's okay. But it's not interesting to me then.
Yeah.
Unless in future episodes and future seasons they come back to play a bigger role in whatever might be happening.
Okay. So then we go to King's Landing, and we see Sansa actually insult Joffrey, which is amazing. I don't know if you liked that as much as I did, but she says, he says that, like, he's looking at Tommen, his little brother, right. And he's like, "Princes don't cry," and she's like, "I saw you cry," and it was just really funny how she, like, wasted no time either. She was like, "I hate you, I need you to know that," and it was just really, like, great. But then when he turns around and says something to her about it, she's just like, yeah, my brother cried once when I left Winterfell. I didn't say anything about you. And so I just thought that was really funny. And do you like how Sansa is kind of, like, accepting where she is, but also kind of, like, trying to retain some agency, I guess?
I guess. Here's what I'm not sure of. Does she know that Tyrion won't kill her? Because for the most part, everyone who has gone against Joffrey, that she knows of anyway, is subject to the worst kind of punishment. So her being disrespectful to him, oh, she does know because of the previous scene where Joffrey says explicitly, I can't kill you.
Yeah.
So she is just like, I'm just going to talk bad about you and to your face because I know you can't kill me. I guess that's okay. But it just seems that that situation is literally at odds with each other just for entertainment purposes. I don't know if I believe that to be a part of Sansa's character. Like she like just developed this, and it's probably out of anger and out of sorrow and out of vengeance. Yeah, and of course she hates Joffrey, but do I believe that that's who Sansa is? Not particularly.
Okay. Well, but like you see that there's like this thing in her that's awakening. I feel like this survival instinct. I guess.
I don't know if that's a survival instinct to just
I guess
keep talking back to Joffrey.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think of what it actually is, but well, okay, that's fine. So then after that, we see them like leaving that area, and we see Joffrey getting attacked, basically, or not really even attacked, but people are just like throwing crap at him, basically. And he orders, just in true Joffrey fashion, he orders everyone to be killed that's throwing stuff at him, and it creates this insane riot. So, were you expecting any of that to go down?
So here's what's interesting. They're walking through the city streets, and at first they're just saying, hey, we're hungry, feed us. And they're saying, hey, King Joffrey. Some of them are even praising him, and at the same time saying, we're starving. But you hear at some point one of them say he's a bastard, and they start talking bad about him. And then he gets hit in the face with this mud pie, and people then continue to jeer at him, and then become even more upset that he's not doing anything to help their empty stomachs. And I thought that was interesting because in a previous episode, Tyrion is talking to Bronn, and Bronn says the people hate you because they think this is your fault. All the plight they're experiencing, they're blaming it on their king's monkey.
Oh, the demon
like
monkey.
The demon monkey. So it was weird then to see that the people actually hate Joffrey as well. I figured they would at least be attacking Tyrion also.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this riot ensues, and people just start dying. And even the people start fighting other people. That's how bad it's gotten. And there's this mad rush to get everyone to safety, and by everyone I mean the Lannisters. Tyrion directs some of the guard to get the prince, Joffrey's little brother, to safety. And we see him get escorted out. And Tyrion is in the arms of the Hound, who is trying to get him also to safety. And he's fighting him like, bring me whoever threw that in my face. I want him punished. I want him killed. And it just culminates into... Actually, we see someone get ripped apart. You see his arm above the crowd. Like, the people are mad, and I mean insane and angry and hungry. And then it moves on to show Sansa struggling to get clear of all of these people. She has been separated from all the other Lannisters and all the other guards, actually. And she's stuck in between these civilians who realize who she is and begin chasing after her. And she runs into this space, this other store, I'm assuming. And she's followed by 3 or 4 other dudes who attempt to rape her. And they've got her on the ground, they've beaten her up a little bit, and they've basically undressed her. And the Hound appears and he kills all of those people, and then he saves her. So he carries her back to where all the other guards are, and he walks by Tyrion, and he sets her down. And Tyrion looks at her and like, "Are you okay?" And Sansa's like, "Yeah, they hit me, but I'll be all right." And the Hound instructs some handmaidens to take her to get nursed. Now, Tyrion then says to the Hound, "Hey, great job." And the Hound responds, "I didn't do that for you." Who did he do it for?
Sansa?
Does he hate Tyrion? Why does he hate Tyrion?
I don't think it was a matter of like disdain for Tyrion. I think it was a matter of just like him matter of factly saying like he was doing it for Sansa. Like,
right, but if someone's going to compliment you on a job well done,
oh, like why? Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, it might not have been a hatred towards Tyrion as a more of like a dismissiveness to the Lannisters in general or something. That's how I would read it anyways. But yeah, so Sansa can't catch a break. No. Like, it is so awful and sad. And I actually like, so when I was getting ready to rewatch this season, I was expecting that scene in the Great Hall where Joffrey was like having her clothes ripped off and stuff, and they were beating her. But I forgot about this scene, and so it just reminded me of just like how terrible everything that Sansa's going through is. And I mean, I think maybe her situation seems worse to me than Arya's because Arya just is more capable, and so like Arya's handling herself in a way that's keeping her out of some of the trouble that Sansa's in, but Sansa just keeps getting like beaten.
Yeah.
And it's just like the show is just like crapping on Sansa so hard, and it's just really, really crazy.
Yeah, a lot of what Sansa's going through is physical as well as psychological abuse. And with Arya, she's got this torture.
Yeah.
Internal torture that she's got to go through because she's trying to hide her identity.
And like with Arya though, like I feel like Arya's just like off on her own trying to survive, but like she's at least still free for the most part. I mean, right now she's with Tywin Lannister, but like before that, I mean, he also doesn't know who she is. So just like you don't get that captive hostage feeling that you have with Sansa.
The only threat to Arya is someone finding out who she is.
Exactly, yeah.
And they haven't yet, so that's what she's fighting.
Yeah.
But with Sansa, you know who her attackers are.
Yeah.
And they are with her in her very presence. And now you can add the people of the city to that list of people who want her dead.
Because, like, yeah, and that's another thing is, like, the people in King's Landing don't care about who's a Stark or who's a Lannister. Mm-hmm. They just know that they're hungry.
Right.
And so that was why Sansa was also a target there. And so I think that was another, and she even talks to Shae about this. She's like, that guy hated me. And I think Shae was trying to get her to understand that he was just an animal, more or less. Like, he didn't hate you. He just had a need, in quotes, and he was just like, you were just the object that was in front of him. And so it's just interesting to see the things that Sansa is learning and how she's learning them. But anyways, and lastly, I want to go over to Daenerys. So we see her talking to Zarandoxis. Mm-hmm. So hard to say his name. And she's talking to him about how she's meeting with the Spice King soon. And we learned that the Spice King is the guy who refused her at the gates when she first got there. And she's basically like, she's upset because she doesn't know why she's being kept waiting. So let's stop there for a second. What do you feel about Daenerys' like temperament and the things that she kind of expects, I guess? Like, what do you think that some of her ideas about how things should be going are realistic?
No. It seems as though, and the spice merchant has already communicated to her that he doesn't care about what she says. Mm. He does want to meet the Mother of Dragons and to see those dragons. That's interest that he has. But whatever it is that she wants outside of that, he doesn't care about.
Mm-hmm.
He has no investment in. So for her to continue wondering why he isn't more into who she is and what she wants baffles me. Now, she has somewhere she wants to be. And apparently she's on a timeline, I guess. Maybe because she understands that the Westeros is up for grabs and she needs to get over there immediately.
Because she's been acting different since she found out that information.
Right. But again, she's already had the information that the 13 don't necessarily care about her goal and her mission. She's all this talk, but hasn't produced any reason for them to believe it or be afraid of it in order to take heed into what she's saying. So she's freaking out, and she believes that she runs where they are. What was that land called again? Karth. She believes that she's the queen of Karth.
Do you think she thinks that?
I think she believes she needs to be waited on hand and foot.
Gotcha.
Given whatever it is that she wants, because she's something else to some other people.
Yeah.
And that translates to all people in general, even those in Essos. So she's got it's mixed up. She needs to understand that she's a guest in these people's land, in these people's house, and the only reason she's a guest is because of something she hasn't even produced for them. So calm down.
Okay, and so yeah, it's interesting because she does not calm down.
No.
So he basically he refuses her again, and he tells her what you just said, that her she's not really a wise investment at the moment. And so she then tells him that she will take what is hers with fire and blood. So did that that just adds more to what you were saying, her reaction to that, basically.
Calm down.
Okay, and so then we see her talking to Zara Zarandoxis again on her way back to her quarters, wherever she's living. And he's talking about how on the path from poverty to wealth, I think is what he said, it's not always glorious and glamorous. You have to do some bad things sometimes, is what he was implying. But then we see that all of her people have been slaughtered and her dragons have been stolen. So what's going down in your head?
So she has teased the spice merchant so many times about how she has these dragons, but you can't see them. These dragons are real, so much so that when they are grown, I'm going to be riding them and burning down your village. So he is a suspect. But then we think about that lady with the cloth and mask over her head, who says, "Watch out," speaking to Jorah.
Yeah.
You need to protect Daenerys, because she has these dragons, and people are going to want them. And they're going to come after her to get them. Well, then we also have to talk about or think about those warlocks.
Yes.
Zara Zarandoxis. Wow. I didn't think I pronounced his name.
The nerdiness is getting you.
No, I didn't. Yeah, it's nonsense. So, he says to Daenerys when they first meet that they'll, do anything to impress the Mother of Dragons and to be in her presence, and they want to invite you down to wherever their cave of wonders is and smoke hookah and stuff. So those characters are also, suspects in whatever has just went down. So basically what that lady in that mask was saying came to fruition.
Yeah.
And they took your dragons. But at the same time, Daenerys, why would you expect anything less from people who've not seen dragons before.
Yeah.
And want
it is dragons. Interesting. Like, I don't know how many people she had guarding her things or like her quarters or whatever. And we don't really know how much of the Dothraki she has left. But like everyone that she had, or at least that was in that specific region, was slaughtered. And so it makes me wonder like what force this was that actually like, you know what I'm saying?
It's also interesting, and I noticed this while we were watching it, but that Dothraki woman was on the ground dead.
Yeah. We
did not, however, see that other lady.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was weird.
Okay.
I don't like that. And
Why?
I noticed it during the show, and now I'm thinking about it again. But where everyone has died, all the Dothraki people are
Did we
dead.
see like every like known face?
I only knew 2 of them.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like, so she had there was a guy there that was trying to steal the jewels.
I saw him.
He was dead.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So what do you think? Where do you think this girl could be? Then?
Just another suspect. That's all.
Another suspect.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we've got like a little murder mystery going on with Daenerys. Okay, cool. All right. Anything in the episode that we missed?
I don't believe so. No, this episode, a lot of it just had to do with just odd decisions that people were making.
Yeah.
But no, I think we covered it.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us once again. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you guys next week for Season 2, Episode 7.